care and invest in its people, leadership development, process improvement, building scalable systems, the ability for an individual to take ownership.
I think what really shines is the ownership culture that we have at IT by Design.
Clarity beats charisma over time. You don't need to be the loudest person in the room. Instead, it's more valuable to be the clearest.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Culture and Career Corner podcast. I'm your host, Anna, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. Joining me is someone who's been making a huge impact on how we deliver value to our partners every single day, Lee, a service delivery manager based out of the New Jersey office. From process building to people development, he's been instrumental in creating frameworks that drive clarity, efficiency, and real results. Welcome to the show, Lee. So glad to have you here.
Thank you, Anna. Great to see you again.
Great to see you. Great to see you, Lee. All right, so let's just jump right in. First, let's start with knowing a little bit about your career journey, Lee. How did it all begin and what brought you to IT by Design?
Sure, yeah. So I started in IT about 20 years ago, consulting as an end user trainer on IP phones during the conversion from digital to voice over IP. I then joined an MSP where I was for 12 years. I started as an end user trainer and had the opportunity to grow into the director of services over time. Throughout that journey, I learned to build service delivery functions from the ground up. So I introduced a number of roles for us. Our customer relationship management was built out under me, as was our service delivery manager position. And then, we were just focused on leading transformation efforts so that we could make a positive impact on customer satisfaction, our internal performance, and just really have a way to qualify and quantify the value that we're providing. When I moved over to IT by Design, that was about a year ago at this point. I stepped in as a service delivery manager and was quickly given a runway to operate at a higher level. I've effectively taken on the responsibilities of heading up our dedicated services product line, building and aligning operational frameworks across the multiple regions that we have, the countries, ensuring our partner outcomes, our engineers and our internal team have clarity around the goals that we're setting, the expectations and the outcomes that we want for ourselves and our partners, with a focus on QBRs, talent alignment, and a number of AI enhancement projects to improve our efficiency on the service delivery side and the value that we bring to our partners.
Wow, Lee, that is an incredible journey, I must say, from starting as a trainer to leading a service transformation at your previous MSP, and now stepping into a strategic leadership role here at ITBD, shaping global operations, scalable systems, and what a powerful example of growth, impact, and purpose-driven leadership, Lee. And congratulations, actually, on completing 1 year with IT by Design. How does it feel?
Thank you. It feels great. Honestly, it's the first year is always one of those interesting milestones where you get to say, okay, what have I done? And even more so, what do I want to do? And it's an exciting time. There's a lot on the horizon, and we're given the runway to do it. So that's great.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. It just feels like yesterday. I still remember the first time that I spoke with
I
you.
know. Yeah.
It just
I saw our WeChats the other day.
yeah, it just feels like yesterday. But I'm so happy with your growth with IT by Design. That's amazing. And let's now talk about the culturally. From your perspective, how would you describe IT by Design's culture?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got this question, I wanted to narrow it down to one word if possible, and the word is really people. IT by Design is a company that really does care and invest in its people. It's always evolving to meet the needs of our team members, our partners, and there's such a strong emphasis on leadership development, process improvement, building scalable systems to support the outcomes of the team, the efficiency, the effectiveness, the value that we can provide and to make people's lives easier on both sides of the house. So I think what sets ITBD apart for me really is that openness to the new ideas, the ability for an individual to take ownership, and if they see a better way forward, all of us are encouraged to lean in, take lead, or at least drive the message internally and try to get the fire to catch. And in a lot of instances, it does. Sometimes before structure fully exists around it, which is then the battle. But even though it's not perfect, the organization itself is a place where people who think critically and act with intent, they can really have a very serious impact.
That's amazing, actually, Lee. I think the way you express the ITBD culture in just one word, I think it's just phenomenal. The way we have our core values as happy, I think this is something, one of my takeaway from today's podcast, that would be how would you describe ITBD's culture? It's going to be people. So that's just amazing. And I think you said that ITBD stands out because of its investment in people, leadership, process, and systems. But I think what really shines is the ownership culture that we have at IT by Design, with everyone, irrespective of the level that everybody's working across borders. I think if you see a better way, you are encouraged to lead even without a formal structure. And I think that's truly, truly empowering. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that, Lee. Okay, now,
Absolutely.
yeah. Now to my favorite part of the show. So the life lessons, right? These are always so powerful and personal, those aha moments that, shaped who you are today, personally and professionally. So I would like you to share with all of our viewers today, Lee, like what are your top three life lessons, those moments that shaped you, who you are as a person today?
Thank you. Yeah, no. So Anna, I don't know if I've narrowed them down to single moments, but I did come up with three statements, right? A kind of pillar statements that influence the way I try to think about challenges, the way I try to think about parenting, the way I try to think about it, like you said, professional and personal life. The first is clarity beats charisma over time. And what I mean by that is you don't need to be the loudest person in the room. Instead, it's more valuable to be the clearest. So if you're leading a team or managing expectations, clarity will always drive better and more consistent outcomes than just noise. So people may follow energy and charm for a while, but eventually it breaks down where structure would hold up. Now, the second one was systems solve people problems. I know I talked before about how we continually try to drive improvements amongst ourselves, amongst our systems. When things go wrong, it's very easy to have the inclination to try to find where that broke down, and oftentimes people think it's people. But more often than not, when you look into an issue, you'll find that there was some type of gap or failure in the way the issue was communicated, or I'm sorry, the way the situation was communicated, or the process that's in its place. Something something wasn't clearly defined, or wasn't clearly documented, or wasn't clearly published. And a lot of times when you take that step back, look at the system, you'll find the gap. You'll know where to fix it. You don't have to blame the person. You can just, everybody can acknowledge, get together, find the fix, and move on. And I think that's huge. And then the last thing is, and this has been a big journey for me over the last year in particular, I'd say 2 years, as I was making the transition, both mentally and then actually from my previous employer over to IT by Design. Career growth isn't linear, but ownership and leadership is. So your title's going to change. Your organization chart's going to change. Your company that you work for is going to change. Maybe you start a business. Maybe you commit to a new organization. The one thing you have control over is how you show up and the value that you create for your peers, for the organization, for your customers, your partners, everyone around you. So it's not worth waiting for someone to hand you something in order to show up. You build it through results. You build it through coming to the table and bringing your A game.
Wow, that is so much amazing. I could just, keep on like listening to you, what you were saying. It was just so amazing. And I think, the first one that I've actually kind of noted it down. It's clarity beats charisma, right? That's what you said. And, don't be the loudest person in the room, but be the most creative. I think it's so beautiful. Sometimes, we feel that being the loudest is going to get us attention, maybe some sort of visibility, going to, probably, give us some sort of stature in the organization or an edge. But I think that's just not the case, right? I think you should be the most creative instead of being the loudest. And that's amazingly wonderful. That's another takeaway from today's podcast. But your top three life lessons, that is clarity, strong systems, and ownership. I think your lessons highlight, that true leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about communicating with purpose, building processes that support people, and I think consistently showing up with accountability, no matter what your title is. I think our viewers have an amazing, life lessons to take away today. Now, Lee, now I think you take care of the partners. You go and meet with a lot of partners, and that's really, really frequently, in the US. And I think you understand and you know our partners very closely with the needs and the demands and everything. And now, since everything is really revolving a lot around, AI, right? So what do you think is going to be the biggest change in the MSP industry with your experience and with your meetings with the partners, and how are we prepared for it, or how much are we as a company ID by Design prepared for it? So I just want you to share your insights with everyone, with people who are going to be listening to this podcast, a little bit about how ITBD is prepared, how ITBD is AI ready.
Absolutely. And I'm glad we're touching on this. I mean, we announced at Build It Live at 25, a whole slew of AI enhancements, AI readiness on our part, right? New products. And so to answer your first question, I feel IT by Design is incredibly prepared and only growing more prepared by the day. I won't even say weekly or monthly. I mean, every day we're committing to greater strategy for ourselves, greater strategy for our partners, and really, like you noted, getting in front of people, getting in front of business leaders, getting in front of business owners, and hearing out what the challenges are that they're sitting and living with right now regarding this drastic change that's happening in the industry. So yeah, we're incredibly ready for the challenge at hand. As far as what I foresee our MSP partners to be experiencing, I think the biggest challenge right now that I'm hearing, there are really two, is how do we strategically deploy AI in a way that makes sense and isn't just AI for AI's sake, right? How are we making it actually add value to our systems, to our team members, and to our customers? And then the flip side of that value to the customers is how do we monetize, right? Great if it can offer an ROI on efficiency and on time spent. Those are dollars too. But every business owner knows that you also need to figure out, okay, how are we seeing business dollars coming in? And how can we leverage this new technology to do so? So a big part of what we're focused on is solving for both of those. What's the best strategy to move forward for your organization? And then also, how does that strategy include an effective way to monetize on the technologies that are out there and to provide extra value to your clients so that you can create a billable line item on that invoice every month?
That's amazing. And I think, Irrespective, that's just something, that I have understood about AI, that irrespective of the size of the company, everybody has to be AI ready. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
only for, the bigger companies out there, but as small as maybe 10 people, 15 people, or maybe two people as well, right? Everybody got to be AI ready. And is there something
yeah.
that you would like to I mean, just want to know your experience, Dee. We've had this, AI training, the sprint, that was led by our very own CEO, Mr. Sunny. How was your experience with that training, that AI sprint training?
Absolutely. Well, I first encountered it in a partial setting at one of our MSP masterminds, where Sunny offered up a snippet, and honestly, it's pretty incredible. Um, Finding practical use for agentic and generative AI is not. I'm not going to say a challenge, because you can find all kinds of use cases, but figuring out how to use them optimally, and again, to reduce noise and increase clarity, it takes some savvy and it takes some consideration. And from the sprint, I learned that tools are less important than the way you use them, which is an IT special, like always the case, right? Learn your process before you decide on the tool that you're going to use for it. But more importantly, that you can really, with the right line of thinking, you can really drive drastic improvement in the way you're handling or managing things. And then something Sunny says all the time, which I love, is ask better questions. Learn to ask better questions.
100% agreed. And I think before, I think this, AI sprint training, I think everybody obviously knew about ChatGPT, right? But we were just sort of using it the bare minimum with whatever we
Right.
understood, right? Just go there,
Yeah.
type, and that's it. No talk like me, no write like me, no use cases, no expert advices, all of that.
Right.
I think it's only after this training that we had, and now the beautiful part is that IT by Design, our company, does not want just the leaders to be AI ready, but I think the company needs every individual, every community member in the company to be AI ready, which is why now we are having like cohort trainings for the other levels as well. And I think it's just so beautiful. And I can't wait to see the day that every community member with IT by Design is, I think, AI ready. And one thing that really, stood with me, what Sunny mentioned, during the training is that embrace and welcome AI. Don't take it as a
Mm,
challenge. Just embrace and welcome it. You know, so I think it's very very beautiful, and I think the more we welcome and embrace it every day, I think our lives are going to be easier, much easier.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, change, the only thing in this world that's inevitable is change, right? Things will always be changing. The more comfortable you can get with the progress that's being made, once it's clear that that's the path forward, more you can cultivate it so that you're in the right position to benefit from it, to see growth in yourself and your outcomes from leveraging it. So I think this is a perfect example of seeing that on the forefront and finding the best ways to make the best of it.
Yeah, 100%. Because change, because growth doesn't happen in comfort zone, right? So we
Yeah,
have
no,
to
not at
be, you have to be uncomfortable for you to grow, and you have to
all.
sacrifice a lot of things, to go up. So maybe it's just the old ways, that we were doing things. We got to sacrifice to be AI ready for the future, and I think that's nothing wrong with it. So that's beautiful. Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much, Lee, for joining us and sharing your journey, insights, and wisdom. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. And the way we discussed about, AI and how IT by Design is ready for the AI. Um, is there any message that you have for all of our viewers before I wrap up?
I guess just One thing you just said, I'll reiterate because I love it. I think it's beautifully stated, and I think it's one of the most important life lessons that's not on my original list, which is uh, growth doesn't happen in comfort. I think that's one of the, I think that'd be number 4 on my list, is you've got to push yourself at least a little bit outside of where you're comfortable if you want to get to the next best thing.
Agreed, 100%. Great. So, to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Culture and Career Corner podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, do not forget to subscribe so you never miss the stories that make IT by design what it is. We will be back soon with more inspiring voices and behind the scenes perspectives. Until next time, keep growing, stay curious, and we'll catch you soon on the next episode of Culture and Career Corner podcast. Thank you so much, Lee, once again for joining us today.
Thank you, Anna.